Hello, good evening, and welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. Thank you for taking the time out on this sunny day to be part of today's program. On today's program, we are looking at the topic making bad decisions. Making bad decisions. I know some of you find that topic a bit strange, wondering what's that all about? What has that got to do with becoming a better person? What has making bad decisions got to do with it? I thought we'll be talking about making the right decision, making good decisions. And that is true. But you see, everything has two sides to it. There's this front side and the back side. There is the face and the back. There's the front and the back. And sometimes we can concentrate overly too much on the front side, forgetting that even the back side or the opposite side has equal opportunity or equal potentials rather to have the same effect on us. Thank you, Sister Doris. Appreciate you. To have the same effect on us as the front side that we're facing. So it is very, very important for us not to just concentrate on the good side of it, the forward side of it, the upside part of it. We also need to consider the other side as well. So there was a time on this platform when we looked at making good decisions. And today we're going to look at making bad decisions. And when I say making bad decisions, I'm not saying that we need to go out and make bad decisions. But you see, it is what you don't know that will hurt you. It is what you are ignorant about that will cost you more. So if you don't know what it means to make a bad decision, if you are not aware of the effect of making bad decisions, if you don't even know how to handle bad decisions, then that could be an area of your life where you are missing out, where you are losing out, when life is taking advantage of you. So the essence of today's program is for us to consider what it means to make a bad decision or what it means to make bad decisions. How do we handle that? How do we come out of that? What can we learn from it? How do we process our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions through that period or that instance when you recognize or you realize or it's pointed out to you that, that was a bad decision right there. You see, we all make mistakes and we all make bad decisions. Somebody said hindsight is a great thing. If we all have it, nobody will need a foresight. We all make mistakes and make bad decisions. Most of them not deliberately, some of them carelessly, some of them because the circumstances around us left us with no choice. Some of them because we didn't think it through. Some of them because we didn't have all the relevant information available as at the time of making that decision that with hindsight now we realize it's a bad one. But whatever it is, whether making mistakes or making bad decisions, they are both part of human experience. They are both part of the fact that you and I are still breathing and we're still alive. And it will be inhuman to say you don't make mistakes, to say you have never made a bad decision or you are never going to make a bad decision. It will be totally inhuman, because in order for you to be in that position, then you have to know all. You have to have all. You have to be all. You have to be God, because only Him knows all, have all, and can be all. But you see, even when we make mistakes, even when we make bad decisions, we can celebrate those mistakes. We can celebrate those bad decisions. You know why? Because oftentimes we learn more from our mistakes. We learn more from those bad decisions that we can then turn around and turn to our own advantage that will bring success to us along the way. as long as we learn from those mistakes, as long as we learn from those bad decisions. But to think you can never make mistake, you never made bad decisions is delusion. You are just deluding yourself. And another common thing that I've seen, and I'm sure you have seen it too, is where people make bad decisions and they call it mistakes. For instance, a politician, somebody of a celebrity, or just anybody, a man is caught with another woman that is not his wife. And he said, oh, I made a mistake. No, that wasn't a mistake. A business person, man or woman, boy or girl, you submitted your annual report or annual returns to the HMRC or the Inland Revenue or IRS in America, whatever it is, and you find a way to try to be clever by not declaring all your income, so your tax liability is not what it should be. In other words, you've deliberately gone out to cheat the government. And then the HMRC catch up with you, or IRS in America knocked on your door to say, oh, by the way, I think you owe us some more money. And you say, oh, it's a mistake. No, it's not a mistake. It's a bad decision. We can call it mistakes. We can name it what we want. You see, selecting the wrong answer on a test is a mistake. Where you have multiple options, A, B, C, or D, and you select B when the right answer is D, that is a mistake. But if you fail to study for that test, if you fail to prepare for that exam, that is not a mistake. That's a bad decision on your part. And so we tend to overcompensate what we call mistakes when some of them, if not most of them are bad decisions on our part. Mistakes are something that you did without intention, without knowing. It's an accident. That's a mistake. But when it is done intentionally, when it's done calculated, when you have thought it through, you've planned it through, you've put all the necessary parameters in place, and you've gone ahead to execute it, you can't call that a mistake. That, my friend, is a bad decision. It's a bad decision. And you see, it is easy for us, for you and I, we all do it. It is easy for us to dismiss bad decisions by reclassifying them as mistakes. You know why we do that? Because the moment you, instead of facing up to say it's a bad decision, the moment you degrade it, the moment you lower the standard, the moment you reduce it to, oh, it's not a bad decision, it's a mistake, the moment you do that, what you've done is you've taken the sting out of it. You've taken the edge off it. You've softened the blow. You've softened the weight of it on yourself. But more than that, when you reclassify a bad decision as a mistake, you've already exonerated yourself from accepting the fault that was yours in the first place. You've removed yourself from taking responsibility for that bad decision, because now you've classified it as a mistake. And so when you do that, what you are invariably training yourself not to accept fault, not to own up, not to grow up, not to mature up, not to be in a position where you take responsibility for your life, for your actions, and for your decisions. And so consequently, the more you do that, the more you degrade your bad decisions and you call them mistakes, the more you don't learn from them, and therefore the more you go ahead and repeat them over and over and over again. And that is what insanity is, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So whenever you make bad decisions, Just own up. Yeah, I own up. Put my hand up. What's my fault? I'm responsible. What can I do to correct the situation? How can we remedy? What are to pay for this bad decision, rather than trying to hide behind your own finger and call them mistakes? But you see, the thing with bad decision is when you make them, or when you realize you've made a bad decision, you know in yourself that, I dropped the ball there. That was a bad decision. You know that. You don't need anybody to tell you. You know in your knower that that is a bad decision. And so what tends to happen is if you are sincere, if you are honorable, if you are truthful with yourself, it weighs on you. It's natural for you to feel bad, to feel terrible, to feel really bad in the mouth about the bad decisions you've made. So you hear people say things like, oh my God, how could I have done that? Oh my God, what was I thinking about? And you feel a tightening in your stomach. You feel something clog up in your throat. You feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Those are natural responses to bad decisions. And we've all made them. Right at that moment when it is pointed out to you, right at the instance when you recognize that was terrible. I shouldn't have gone down that road. Now I'm stuck. I can't reverse and I can't go forward. I shouldn't have said what I said because now the word has gone out of my mouth and I can't take them back. I shouldn't have addressed the situation like that. I should have asked for the facts, get the necessary details before I make any pronouncement. So we make those bad decisions and then you feel it on the inside. It weighs on you. It makes you feel ugly. You feel terrible. In that instance, you feel, if only I can rewind the clock. If only I can go back in time. If only I can change the whole thing to reflect. But there is an inner, there is something on the inside of you and I when we make bad decisions. Because the effect of your bad decision sets some things in motion. And so you are constantly, perpetually trying to do a catch-up, trying to rectify, trying to remedy, trying to prevent. But you see, the chain reaction will continue. Maybe, for instance, you were made an offer by a competitor of your current employer. When you looked at the offer that's been made to you, it's just too good to turn down. And so you sign on the dotted lines, you give in your letter of resignation in your current place, and you cross border to the other side. 3 months after you got there, they ran into trouble and they're laying everybody off. And then you look back and you think, what was that all about? How did I put myself in a position like this? Or maybe you have an issue in any of your relationship. It could be with your spouse, your friends, your business partner, and it got to a point where you just can't see a way out, so you walked away, or you kicked the person away, or you went your separate ways. But later you think through the process, you think through the situation, you ask yourself, you ponder over it, and you realize, if only I had given that an extra dose of patience, an extra dose of being reasonable, an extra dose of being more accommodating, maybe the situation could have been different. Or maybe this example is typical for men. You went out, met your friends, and they say, oh, this is going on, or we need to buy that, or that's the latest craze in town. And without thinking about it, you invest your life savings on it. You spend that money, and then you're wondering, did I really need that? Could I have done? Could I have existed? Could I have continued living? What would have changed in my standard of life if I never spent that money? And so you start feeling this buyer's remorse syndrome because you didn't think it through. But you see, whatever the situation is, those are just examples, but whatever it is, in whatever area of your life and my life where we have made those bad decisions, one of the things you must remember is it's a confirmation that you're a human being. It's a confirmation that you are still alive. It's a confirmation that there is still more for you to learn. You have not become the fountain of knowledge. There are things that you still need to learn. It's an opportunity for you to learn from the experience. Because even though you cannot go back in time and change all those processes and the decisions that you make, you can learn from the experience. You can learn from the impact. You can learn from the effect that is having on you by allowing the actionable, by just putting yourself in a position of a learner. What can I learn from this experience? What is the lesson for me in this experience? So if you are one of us that's made bad decisions in the past, or recently, or currently, or today, you're in good company. You're not on your own. We are all in this together. But you see, there are things that you and I can do to reduce, not eliminate, but to reduce the possibility of making bad decisions. And how to handle bad decisions. You see, one of the biggest one of the biggest emotional turmoil that we go through when we make bad decisions is the weight of regret. Is the turmoil of regret. It's a way, it beats us down, and if care is not taken, most people can't get up from it. So what do you do when you've made a bad decision? What do you do to yourself? What do you do with yourself? How do you handle yourself? What are some of the things that you need to take on board so that you are not continuously wallowing in that bad decision, but you can rise up from it and move on to a better place and a better decision-making process? What are some of the things that you can do once now you realize, that was a bad decision? First thing you must do is you would have to accept your emotions. When you make a bad decision, it affects the way you feel, not about the decision per se, but about yourself. The first step, therefore, that you must take is to recognize what has happened has effect on you, and don't shy away. Don't deny the fact that it's affecting you, because ignoring or pretending that it's not, that you don't feel the pain, it leaves the pain forever open. It leaves the wound forever fresh. It leaves that feeling of less than continuously to be on you. When you suppress your emotion, it will get you nowhere because of the bad decision you've made. Once you've made a bad decision, it affects the way you feel, it affects your emotion. If you now decide to be macho and be Mr. Biggs and whatever, and try to suppress the emotion, you ain't going nowhere. You're not going to learn from it. It's not going to help you. It's not going to profit you. You will not grow from that place. So the first thing you must do when you've made a bad decision is to focus on, how does it make me feel? How do I feel about this decision that I've just made? For instance, if you're slicing carrot in the kitchen and you cut yourself. You slice a bit of your skin off your finger. You don't just pretend that the knife didn't cut you. You don't just pretend that the pain is not there. You don't just pretend as if all is well. No, that's the time for you to stop. Attend to the wound. That's the time for you to stop and put it under water, wash it off, put some first aid treatment on it, wrap it up, put a plaster over it, whatever you have to do. It's the same thing with your decision, with your emotion rather. Once you've made a bad decision, that's not the time for you to pretend it didn't happen. That's the time for you to man up, to own up, to face it, to accept the way it makes you feel. Because by not dealing with your emotions, you've just postponed the doomsday to the future. Number 2, you must focus on the facts. The facts that led you to making the bad decision and the facts that you should and could have considered in making the right decision. That is the time for you to reassess yourself, to look at wait a minute, how did we get here? What led me to be in a position like this that things are not, the center cannot hold? Once you've recognized your emotion and the way you feel, the next thing for you is to gather the facts, pull all the facts together, and do a forensic examination. What happened there? How did we arrive there? Why come I didn't see that figure? What happened to that decision? And how did we make that error? All of that, you have to go through that. You have to examine that. You have to look at them. That's the time for you to separate your emotions from looking at the realities of the situation. That's not the time for you to be crying your eyes over your cup of tea. No, that's the time for you to say, okay, I felt the way I felt, but I need to get off from this dust. I need to move on to examine, because by not examining, you're going to make the same mistake again. You must ask yourself questions like, what's going on? How did we arrive here? What led me to making this bad decision? What do I really want to get out of this situation that I've now even messed up, multiplied by 2? And how can I work productively, looking at the facts in front of me to push me or direct me or point me towards the right direction so that I can make the right decision? And if you are struggling and you can't process it in your head, don't just get frustrated. That's the time for you to get a pen and a paper and just write down what you are thinking. Write down, pour your process, the way you are processing it, pour it on a piece of paper so that you can come back and look at it. Peradventure, your emotion is still very much high and is still controlling and ruling you. That's the time for you to get a pen and paper and write down what you're thinking. Write down what you're processing. That's the time to turn to your spouse, to a trusted friend, to somebody, and just talk to them so that they can help you to think through what you are dealing with, so that you don't perpetuate repeating that bad decision over and over again. So the first thing we said was recognize your emotions. Number 2, look at the facts. Check the facts. Be objective. Number 3, don't let that bad decision consume you. Don't allow that one bad decision consume you. I remember years ago when my son and I would go and play golf together. We were both learners and we're still learning anyway. And we'll be playing golf, just hitting the ball to wherever it lands, and we'll pick it up from there and continue. But my son has this high expectation of himself and there's nothing wrong with having a high expectation of yourself, but Orel will have this belief that every of his shot must be perfect. Every swing must be accurate. The ball must land on the driveway. It must be on the green. And when he puts it, it must be in the hole. And so once he approaches the ball and he hits it and the ball doesn't go the way he expects it, he gets into a lot of just angry with himself. Not like, but you can see that he's not enjoying the game anymore. And so what tends to happen is for the next 3-4 holes, he perpetuates those mistakes, those errors, those bad shots on and on and on and on. So that's the time I will say, look, Ore, this is not the PGA Championship. We're not playing in Augusta. We're just here having fun. Relax. Let's just enjoy it. There is no trophy at the end of this. Yes, you want to do it right. But hey, you made one bad shot. You played one bad shot. Now that has cost you 3 more holes down the line. What am I saying? When you make a bad decision, when you make an error, don't let the emotion of that one error, don't let it consume you. Because what you are doing, in effect, when you allow it to dominate, what you are doing is you are giving it more meaning than it actually deserves. You are making it to be the all and all when it's just a one of many. That's the time for you to mentally separate yourself from that bad decision. Not by you denying it, not by you pretending it didn't happen. No, it's by you now saying, okay, that one has been done. Let's move to the next one. That lesson has been learned. Let's move to the next one. That mistake has been made. Let's move to the next one. I've made that bad decision. I can't allow it to make me continue to make more and more and more bad decisions. Because when you do that, when you allow the emotion of the bad decision to dominate you, to consume you, to be on top of you, it will strip you of your power. It will strip you of your ability to think through what your next move is. That's the time you tell yourself, oh, I'm just stupid. Oh, I can't even do anything right. I can't even be trusted with this little thing. Oh, this thing is just going to ruin my life. Now my business is... No. It is just it is just one bad decision. It's not the totality of your life. Learn from it and move on. Learn from it and move to the next one. Learn from it and go on with your life. There is more to your life than that one bad decision. Another thing you must do is be human. Be human. What does that mean? Recognize that it is for man to err. As long as you are in this flesh, on this earth, you will make mistakes, you will make bad decisions. You will make mistakes, you will make bad decisions. So don't choke life out of yourself because of one bad decision. That's the time for you to learn to, as they say, forgive yourself. If you can't forgive yourself for one bad decision that you've made, then that one bad decision is not even the totality of your human existence, what chance have we got? Don't be too hard on yourself in the wake of your bad decision. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't dehumanize yourself because of one bad decision. Because what tends to happen is once we make a bad decision, we become our own worst enemy. We perpetuate these bad decisions one after another because we think less of ourselves. We think we're not worthy. We think we're not evil. We wallow in the guilt of our bad decisions rather than for us to use it as a stepping stone to move to the next level. Can I tell you something? Mistakes and bad decisions, they are essential rungs in the ladder of success. Mistakes and bad decisions, they are part and parcel of the steps that you take in order for you to reach the top. Those people at the top, they are not at the top because they've made perfect decisions all the way through. They are not at the top because they are immune from mistakes. No, they are at the top because they made the bad decisions, they made the mistakes, they learned from it, they used it as now a pulling rope. They used it as a stepping stone. They used it as a lifter to take them to the next level. Because what determines your future success is how you respond to your current mistakes and your current bad decisions. What would determine your future success? What would determine how far you go in life? What would determine how strong you become, how reliable you become, how tenacious you become, how subjective you become, how deliberate you become, is how you handle the mistakes that you're making now, the bad decisions that you have made now. Use the failure of your bad decisions as leverage. Use it as a leverage to take you to the next level. Use it as a stepping stone to go higher. Something that is meant to crush you, just shake yourself off underneath it, climb on it, and get to the top. What else can you do? Accept your regret. Accept, I said earlier on, the biggest emotional effects that we have, that we carry, that we feel as a result of bad decision is a feeling of regret, because you expect more from yourself. You expect more of yourself. You demand more of your person. And so when the result is contrary to your level of expectations and the level of demand of where you see yourself, there is a sense of regret that comes on you. And so when you make bad decisions, your mind will be flooded with regret. You will look at yourself and want to slap your own self. You look at yourself and think, am I stupid or what? What's wrong with me? All of that are part of the feeling of regret that you carry. But you see, the regret can actually, if it is well managed, if it's well handled, the regret can become a powerful tool that will help you to remember not to do that again, to remember not to go down that path again, to remember that this is not the way to do it. That regret becomes now like a shot in the arm, as it were. It tells you, it reminds you, because you don't want to go through that same feeling again. You just say, no, it ain't gonna happen again. So yes, feel the regret, but use it to go as a tool to go to the next level. And if the regret you are feeling is becoming an all-consuming, because some people just don't know how to get out from under the feeling of regret. If you are struggling with getting away from regret and self-condemnation and thinking less of yourself because of one bad decision, there's a remedy for that. Have you heard of the old saying, count your blessings and name them one by one and say how good God has been to you? You've just bumped your car into the rail on your way home, and now you are full of regret. Have you forgotten that you've been driving that same car on that same road for the past 5 years and you've never had an accident? Have you forgotten that you've just driven that same car from work to your house and it's about 7 miles, about 15 miles, and you didn't have any issue at all? Have you forgotten that the same car that you are now beating yourself over is just a metal? What's more important, the car or your life? Turn your regret over and you'll be amazed what is underneath it. underneath it, you will find enough reasons to be grateful to God. You'll find enough reasons to applaud yourself, to pat yourself in the back, to encourage yourself, to beef yourself up rather than beat yourself down. You have to learn to train your thoughts to see the positive instead of the negatives in the things that happens to you in life. And the way to do that is always find something to be grateful for. Find something to be grateful about. Find something that you need to just stop and say thank you. I was talking to my brother today, and we were just going through a lot of things. And we concluded almost simultaneously to say, even in the midst of all the challenges of life, we thank God that we're still alive. We thank God that we still have our minds in place. We thank God that all our organs are functioning. We thank God that everything about us, our family, everything is still intact. We thank God for what God has done for us, rather than wallow in the things that are not there and the mistakes that we've made and the errors and the bad decisions that we've made. If your regret is going to become an all-consuming demon, flip it over and you will find enough reasons to be grateful. Remember, we're talking about what to do, how to handle the aftermath of your bad decisions. Another thing you can do is to, like we said, examine the facts. Now create a process that will guide you in future decision making. Create a system. Formulate a pattern. This step by step, every decision must go through this criteria. Every decision must go through this pattern. Every decision must go through this filter before we make it. So that the next time you are confronted with making another decision, a big decision, the stress and anxiety of, oh, what if I made a bad mistake or bad decision again? That will not be there, because you are not just making the decision psychologically and emotionally. No, now you have facts. Now you have process. Now you have discipline. Now you have checks and balances along the way that will help you, that will guide you, that will show you what to do. Your emotion is removed from the decision-making process now. Now you can do the right thing and get the right result. It is important for you to have a process of how you make decisions. For some people, it's a case of, this is what I like to do, but then they turn it over to somebody else, somebody trusted, somebody that believes in them and have their best interests at heart, and somebody that will tell you the truth. They turn it over to them. I said, I'm about to make this decision. What do you think? Can you have a look at it for me? Even in hospitals, they do that. Your consultant has checked your x-ray. They've looked at your samples. They've looked at the report. They've concluded that what this person needs is a surgical operation. But just before they put you under the anesthetics and slice you open, they turn it over to another consultant to say, we need to get a second opinion. It's not because they doubt what they have seen or they don't believe in their ability. It is a safety measure. It's a decision-making process. You should do that as well with your life. Identify the decision or what the problem is. Be clear in the possibilities of the outcome you are looking for. Don't over-exaggerate the outcome, because that will you've lost the battle before you even started. Gather all the necessary information, all the necessary data, all the necessary facts, and lay them bare and examine them one after another, one after another. Consider the pros and the cons. Consider the benefits of these. What are the shortfalls of that? Look at everything before you make that decision. And once you have concluded all of that, make your decision. I said on this program some months ago, I said one of the things about me is that I don't live a life of regret. Does that mean I don't make mistakes? Yeah, you should see my catalog. They're very long. Does that mean I've never made any bad decision? You should see, maybe you should ask people who knows me well. But in the midst of all of that, despite all of that, one of the things I don't do is regret or allow regret to beat me down. You know why? Because I do this process thing. I put it all down. I check it one by one. I look at the pros and the cons. I consider the facts available to me. I turn it over and I flip it over. I turn it inside out and outside in. Once I've done all of that, once I've considered what's available to me, the information, the facts, and everything put in the same pot, I then go ahead and make a decision. Now, if 2 minutes after I made that decision, it turned out that it was the wrong decision, it was a bad decision, yes, naturally as a human being, I will feel the ouch, but I don't regret it. You know why I don't regret it? Because I know that I didn't make the decision out of emotions. The decision was not made out of borrow one from the air. No, I've been through, I've gone through, I've applied the process, I've put everything on the shakings, I've shaken them. Those that will filter down, they have. Those that will remain on top, we've chucked them away. If it turned out to be a bad decision, it's not because I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. Maybe the facts that I have were just not enough. Maybe there's a new development. Maybe there's a change in one of the circumstances that were not there at the time I was making that decision. And so I don't live in regret. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a gift. Life is a gift, and we must not render it insignificant by regret and honoring regret and harboring regret and nursing regret. No, we shouldn't do that. Because what we're saying to the giver of life is, why have you bothered giving me this life anyway? Unfortunately, a large percentage of us, human beings, that's what we do. We allow one issue to become the totality of our person. We allow one error to become the summation of our lives. It shouldn't be. And if for any reason you are living in that zone where regret is keeping you down, where you can't seem to move away from regret, one of the things you must do, one of the things that you must remember, one of the things, if you forget everything I've said tonight or I'm saying tonight, remember this. When life challenges, the pressure of life, the mistakes of life, the bad decisions of life, when they compress and press you and put a lid of regret on it, and it's almost sinking you into the ground, and you can't seem to find your way out, that's the time for you to imagine not your life, but imagine your death. That's the time for you to remember, if I die in this current situation, what will be the summation? What will be the totality? What will be the essence of my life? You must always, I know for some of us that is, oh, don't talk to me about death. I don't want to die. Guess what? We will all die. Now or somewhere down the line. It is appointed for man to die. It is appointed for man once to die. We don't know the date. But it doesn't mean we won't die. We will all die one day, unless Jesus come back early. Use death not as a dread. Use death, the imagination of death. Use it as a propeller. Use it as a kickstarter. Use it as a motivator to get yourself together and pull yourself together. Don't be one of those that will be on their deathbed and they will be thinking, what is the totality of my life? What part of my life have I not lived because I allowed the one I lived to stop me from living the rest of it? Think about death. It won't kill you. Just because you think about it doesn't mean you are going to die. Contemplate what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve, what you want to become, where you want to go, the legacy you want to leave behind. Think about them. And if you allow regret to hold you down, you won't see any of those. Because you won't be able to see beyond what's in front of you. And that's why many people, they reach the end of their lives and they feel a blend of equal percentage of regret, of shame, of guilt, of disappointment, because they've lived their lives mostly regretting what is behind them. But in order to facilitate a more prosperous, a more forward-looking life, focus on happiness rather than regretting. Consider that life could have been worse, but hey, you are still here. There are some that went to bed with you last night. They didn't wake up this morning. And especially for men, this next one is for you. You are more than the title that you carry at work. You, as a man, and to some degree as a woman, there is more to you than the title on your business card, than the title on the door into your office, than the title on the car park spot where you park your car. There is more to you than a title. Either at work, at church, at play, whatever it is. Work should not and must not define who you are. I'm telling you this from a personal experience. I am sharing this with you from a personal, deeply rooted personal experience. Because for most of us, when they ask, who are you, what's your name, rather than saying my name is this, we say my name is this and I'm a this. We are very quick at pointing out what our titles are. But you see, your work, your title, your position is not the sum total of you, who you are. In fact, what you do outside of your work is more a true reflection, a true definition of who you are. But you see, most of us don't have a life outside of work. Most of us don't have life outside of work. I remember, I'm just using this as an example, by the way. In early 2010, I was driving to work that morning, all by myself in the car. Nobody's there. I wasn't listening to the radio. I wasn't praying. I was just driving. And I heard the audible voice of God, and he said, Tunde, why do you think there's no life outside of your work? Whew. What was that? Who said that? Where is it? Yeah, I checked my radio. It was on. It was off. I looked at my phone. It wasn't on. Where did that come from? And I just dismissed it. Continued driving. I got to my place of work. As I was about to go through the barrier gate into the car park of where I worked then, again it came loud and soft and just, Tunde, why do you think there is no life outside of this your workplace? For half an hour, I couldn't get out of my car. My whole life flashed right before me. And maybe for the first time, I asked myself the question, who are you? Who are you? And I'm saying that to say there is more to you and I than the work that we run after, that we do. Don't get me wrong. We need to work. You need to work because we have obligations, we have bills to pay. But please, it should not be. The titles that you have at work, the titles that we crave and pursue and give everything for, they are just to boost our egos and distract us from our personal journeys in life. If you attach your essence, your person, your wholeness to the title that you have, what would you do when that job is not there? Because before the end of that year, I lost that job. And then what? You are more. You and I, we are more than the title that we carry at work. And one of the reasons people can't let go of title is because they've attached their essence, their person, their life to that title. That is why a lot of men commit suicide when after losing their jobs. There's been stories of men who's lost their jobs, and for a whole year they still leave the house in the morning as if they're going to that job, and come back in the evening, and the wife says, "How was today?" Say, "Oh, well, great. You know, that man, he just came with this and that." But they haven't been anywhere. They haven't been working for a whole year because the essence of who they are is tied to the title that they carry at work. Ask yourself, what matters to me? Reevaluate what actually matters to you in life. Because once you are able to ascertain that, bad decisions, regrets, and mistakes will just be part and parcel of the journey rather than being the final stop of your journey. Reevaluate what matters to you. No company, no organization, no employer is able to pay you what you are worth. But what do? We dedicate our lives and everything we pour into a 9 to 5. You give them your life, they give you a paycheck. You give them your life, they give you a handshake. Not to mention the stress and the headaches and the turmoil that they're causing you at work, and you get home now, you can't even pay attention to your spouse, to your children, because you brought some work from home, your phone is ringing, an email is going, I need that report, and we spend all our lives working. Your job and my job, they are just means to an end. They are not the end in itself. All they do is they supply us with enough funds to pay our bills and maybe eat at the end. Work should not be the priority of your life and my life. Your family, your friends, your health, your sanity, your life, your relationship with your maker. Those are more important than enslaving yourself to an office. Find what you really love to do and make time for it. Find what you really love to do and make time for it. Your life will be richer for it. This idea, this notion of work-life balance is fallacy. There is no such a thing as work-life balance. All you have is a life. The balance is what you brought into it. The balance is you recognizing I need to work, but the work is not the sum total of my existence. There are other aspects of my life that equally requires and demand and they have legal right to my life just as much as my work. Because when you focus on what you want to accomplish before you die, you'll be amazed that your 9-to-5 job it's not even on the list. But it will give you the ability to enjoy life, to be grateful for life. Regret will be far from you because you know what you want and you are pursuing what you want. Don't be afraid to think about death, ladies and gentlemen. It will assist you to live a happy life. It will help you to spend time with the people that matters to you, on the things that matters to you. Don't be that person that will be on their deathbed with more regrets than memories. As I close, make the right decision tonight. Build a life on living and keep thinking about your deathbed because it will come one day. Don't live a life of regret. Bad decisions and mistakes and errors, they are part and parcel of human existence. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's program. I know it probably has ended in a kind of a solemn way, but I've seen enough, I've heard enough, I've handled enough to know about some of these things that I'm talking about. And if what I'm talking about, if it relates to you, if there is a personal connection between you and what I'm saying, and you want to talk more about it, I'm not a counselor, don't get me wrong. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a shrink. But if you want somebody that you can talk to, give me a shout, drop me a line, whatever it is, let's hang out and spend life together. Because there is more to life than what you have seen. And it will be an honor for me to travel the journey with you. And don't forget, your life and my life is heading for a destination. And that destination is good, is pleasant, is rosy, is wonderful. And that is why we're on this journey of discovery, on this journey of life, so that when we arrive at that destination, everyone that will see us will have no choice but to say, for surely, these are better men and better women. I'll see you again next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.